Our top story at this hour, at least 40 Indians have been killed and 30 injured in a fire at a building housing Indian workers in the city of Mangaf in southern Kuwait early on Wednesday. Kuwait's Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad Yusuf Saud Al Sabah visited the site and he accused the real estate owners of violations and greed, saying these factors actually contributed towards the incident. According to the statement released by Kuwait Health Ministry, all the injured people, including some who have been in a critical condition, have been taken to several nearby hospitals for necessary medical treatment. Medical teams are doing their utmost to provide due medical care to those injured in the fire at the building, added the ministry. Ambassador of India to Kuwait Adarsh Swaika visited the AlAdanHospital, where Indian workers injured in today's fire accident have been admitted. He met a number of patients and assured them of complete assistance from the embassy. The Indian embassy also informed that it is in touch with relevant Kuwaiti law enforcement, fire service and health authorities. The embassy also put in place emergency helpline numbers. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar tweeted and expressed his condolences over the deaths. He wrote, and I quote him, "Deeply shocked by the news of the fire incident in Kuwait City. There are reportedly over 40 deaths and over 50 have been hospitalized. Our ambassador has gone to the camp. We are awaiting further information. Deepest condolences to the families of those who tragically lost their lives. Wish early and full recovery to those who have been injured. Our embassy will render the fullest assistance to all concerned in this regard." The building where the fire took place, visuals on your screens right now, the smoke billowing out of the building.
Unfortunately, the greed of the property owners is what leads to these matters. I will call the Director of Municipalities and we will talk to all property owners. Any property violation will be removed early morning. Either the property owner removes it himself or I will give instructions to the municipality to remove them. This is the decision that should have been imposed a long time ago and be implemented in the municipality. But unfortunately, there was neglect from the part of the real estate dealers. They violate, and this is the result of the violations. As we speak, there are 41 people killed, and the reason is the real estate dealers, unfortunately.
And let's now go across to Anil Trigunayat, former Indian diplomat, who's joining us on the phone line. Ambassador Trigunayat, what a terribly tragic incident this is, on the screens right now, smoke billowing out of this building. To imagine so many people being charred to death and so many injured, I mean, this is one of the most heart-wrenching ever, Ambassador. Would you concur?
Absolutely. I mean, firstly, my condolences to all the people who got caught and got deceased in this. And secondly, all the people who are injured and are recovering. We hope early recovery. But this is something that is quite terrible, actually, and a horrible tragedy that has happened. And there could be, although the investigations will be carried out, I understand there were 160 workers who were living in that building and there was some kind of a problem in the kitchen or whatever. But as your earlier report was from the municipality, that apparently it was also a problem which was due to the real estate violations that are there. And I can assure you that the Indian embassy, and as we have seen, our ambassador himself has been there and met all the injured, and they are also pursuing with all the authorities. So as usual, Indian embassy will render all the assistance to the injured and will enable the evacuation of the dead bodies of the people who have been caught in this terrible fire which has happened. In fact, there is a problem, very often the places where the labor class, especially the blue labor, they are kept, very often they are not up to the greatest standards, and that's where the problem is. Although this building did belong to one of the major construction companies, which is doing a big projects in Kuwait, and they are one of the biggest companies. So I hope that this will lead eventually to taking more stringent action against such real estate developers so that these things are not repeated again.
Yes, Ambassador Trigunayat, one has read a lot of stories, not just in Kuwait, but other areas of the Middle East as well, the Gulf.
Yes.
That you know how a lot of people, Indians who go to work there, live in stamp-sized rooms, you know, where there is not even enough room for anybody to turn around and pick up a piece of paper from the floor. I mean, these kind of conditions, although this building, like you say, Ambassador, belong to somebody who is a real estate, real estate businessman. But you know, it still does not absolve him or the conditions under which Indians live, and particularly those who are drivers, plumbers, etc. Ambassador.
You are absolutely right. I mean, in fact, they get shortchanged by quite a few things. Even though the government has introduced, Indian government has introduced many checks and balances in this case. And very often our embassy is always in touch with them. But you know, many of the people who go from India for these, they are very often not, aware of the conditions. And the agents play a dirty game even in India. And sometimes at that side, the recruiting agents. So even though they are supposed to get clearances and everything, but there are possibilities of these kind of things happening. But the fact is that the embassy is always, our ambassadors and the embassy is always chasing the local government to take punitive action against such erratic people.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Trigunayat, for joining us on this broadcast. And on your screens right now, helpline numbers are being flashed. It is 965 655 05246. That's the helpline number for anybody who's wanting to reach out or seeking any kind of help. And now my colleague Neha Khanna joins us live from the newsroom right now on this terrible accident which has taken place. Neha, what are you picking up on the ground? I mean, we know that this is terrible, this kind of deaths of 40 or 41 people. Imagine being charged to death and the rest who are battling for their lives apparently in several hospitals in Kuwait. Neha Khanna.
That's right, Sudha. This is absolutely terrible news coming in from Kuwait. A fire that spread so rapidly through a building that reports suggest it has claimed at least 40 Indian lives. Many others are said to be injured. They've been taken to different hospitals. Now, what we know at the moment is that there is a commercial center close to this building, in the vicinity of this building. In this particular building, where the fire started in a lower floor kitchen, Sudha, essentially was home to about 200 laborers. Many of them are from India, and the reports that we are hearing at the moment is that a majority of those who are believed to have died in this fire were from the states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Many Malayalis, as you are aware, Sudha, do work in the Gulf countries, and this building primarily housed Indian laborers. Of course, a lot of questions will have to be answered about whether the conditions, the living conditions of these laborers were, too poor, and whether enough care was really not taken to ensure their safety. What we do know at the moment is that the situation got so completely out of hand when this fire spread. Many people actually jumped out of the building to escape the flames, and most of those who died, they actually succumbed either to their burn injuries or died of smoke inhalation or asphyxiation. As you mentioned, many are undergoing treatment at least 3 different hospitals in the area. The building is owned by the NBTC group. It is run by a Malayali businessman, KJ Abraham. Those are the details that we have at the moment, and employees of this particular company also work in a supermarket in the area. They too were living in this building. Now, the Deputy Prime Minister of Kuwait, who's also the Interior Minister, has taken cognizance of this incident. He visited the site. He's expressed his condolences, and investigation will now have to be held to determine what exactly caused the fire and whether there was really negligence on part of the owner of the building. Also, as you mentioned there, Sudha, the Indian Embassy in Kuwait is in touch with the affected people and their families.
All
Helpline
right.
numbers have been put out. The ambassador visited the site earlier. We are still waiting for a confirmation from the Ministry of External Affairs as to the exact number of Indians who've died, but the reports seem to suggest at least 40 lives have been
All
lost.
right.